People ain't loyal no more. It's time to talk. Right, Chris, thank you for accepting my invitation. Welcome to my world of loyalty, core values, and people who have morals.
Well, thanks for the invite. It's been an amazing journey. We've had a good chat earlier on as well.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
I think there will be definitely something we will do in the future together.
Definitely.
We'll make some money together.
Looking forward to
So,
it.
I want to start from beginning. Born in Blackpool, yeah?
That's right, yep.
How was your upbringing? How was it to grow up in that area?
Good. So, it's interesting. So, I was born in Blackpool. I lived in a place called St Anne's by the sea. And I've just got fond memories of it. You know, my dad was a plumber. He was self-employed. My mum was a teacher. And I remember my dad going out, you know, working during the day. So my mum, I spent most of the time during the day with my mum. If I got into trouble, my dad would come home and give me a bollocking at night time. All the standard stuff. So I was a bit of a wild child, apparently.
That's what I wanted to ask. How were you as a kid?
Well, I've got a little 3-year-old now, which we'll get to, and he's wild, and I'm sure my parents look at me and say,
"You will get it back now."
Yeah, exactly.
You will get it back now.
Payback time for sure. So yeah, I was wild, but it was fun times. But it's interesting when I drive back down the area, the school that I used to go to. I remember the fence being really, really high, but it's only this big because obviously I was a lot smaller, and the wall in front of the house and stuff when I drive past. It's fascinating because my memory of it was everything being so much bigger than it is. But yeah, good times.
Good. So, teenage times.
So we moved away from Blackpool. So my dad was self-employed on the Fylde Coast, and then he got a job teaching plumbing in Rochdale. Yeah, so I think he commuted for about a year or so, and then eventually we moved over there. So we moved when I was about 10 or 11. So my teenage years were in growing up in Rochdale, and I think I spent about 10 or so years there. It's when I was about, I want to say 19 or 20. I think I moved out of home then. So we had a friend who was, so there's actually 3 of us living in a very small terrace house when I was 20. So the teenage years were like any other teenage years. I was going out during the evenings, playing with my mates. You know, even if it's raining, I've got my t-shirt on, riding around my estate on my bike and stuff. So I didn't really get into any trouble. I wasn't, I wasn't led down the wrong group of people, if you like. So yeah, just normal stuff as a teenager. And then found alcohol and girls and stuff, and then found the nightclubs.
that changes.
That's when it changed everything. Yeah, so grew up fast.
Cool. First jobs, because I know obviously you send me little script about your life, short script. You became a manager in warehouse when you were only 17 years old? Yeah,
so I left school at 16 in the summer, and there was a new DIY store that had opened up in Rochdale called Do It All, so owned by W.H. Smiths at the time, and there was a whole chain of them around the country, and I'd seen there was a big advert in the local newspaper, and I kind of went in there, and they were looking for there was a couple of jobs going on a YTS, youth training scheme. I remember seeing a poster on the wall that the opportunities to become a store manager with a company car and pension and all that kind of stuff. I thought that looked pretty cool. It's something I could do, and so I applied for one of these YTS positions, and I got that, and it was like a 2-year training course. So the advantage being that you worked in every single department around the store and got trained up on it, and then went away on some outward bound courses a couple of times a year. So spent like 5 days in a youth hostel in Edale and other places like that, which was really, really good for my self-confidence. And £39.50 a week I was on back then.
Wow.
I've never been so wealthy as I was back then, you know. So,
was it lots of money at that time?
It was loads. Well, we used to go out like 4 or 5 times a week and get a Kentucky supper, get drunk, and a taxi home on £39.50 a week. It's
Brilliant.
Crazy. Good times.
Did you always have like a business mind? You were always like entrepreneurial?
I was always different for sure, and I kind of remember vaguely having a conversation at school. I didn't really get on with school so well. I've got no real friends that I can think of from the school days. I've got no real good fun memories. I was picked on. I was definitely a bit of an outcast. I was a little bit different to everybody else. I remember speaking to the careers advisor and not really being clear on what I wanted, but I just didn't didn't want to be normal. I didn't want to just go down the normal route. I did see the route to being normal, if you like, having a normal job when I started to do it all. But I very quickly found out that there's never enough money. You make enough money on a Friday to make sure that you come back on the Monday. And I learned that from a very early age, and I thought there's got to be something better than this. So I've always had an idea of doing something different, but I had nobody to speak to about it. I had no idea how that would look or anything. But I was always aware that there was maybe something else for me. But I was too comfortable. I was in a job.
Yeah.
I was getting paid a wage, and I was very, very loyal. Would never leave them. I would quite often, sometimes go in on my day off. So that was my life. That's kind of all I knew. So I had no time to look into anything else until I was made redundant in mid-90s, and that's when I realised that actually, it's all about me now. A job's not safe and secure like I was led to believe it was. And it was at that moment I decided, you know what, it was tough at the time to be told that you weren't wanted anymore, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that kind of started the journey then.
Definitely. So what did you do then after being made redundant?
So
was it tough at the beginning?
Not really, because I was still living at home at the time. Or was I? I can't even remember now. 1995. No, I think I'd moved out at that point. Yeah, no, that's right. I was living. Let me try and get this right. No, I'd actually moved out of home, but then I think I'd moved back in again. At the time I'd been made redundant, I was back at home. I did get another job for about, I don't know, 10 or 12 months at a company called Focus DIY, which ended up buying out that same company down in Macclesfield. So I moved in with another friend of mine in Ashton-under-Lyne in Tameside. So that's when I completely moved areas away from the Rochdale area. So I did that for about a year, I think, before I kind of moved on to other things. But I already realised that I didn't want a job anymore. I wanted to do something different. And I remember my dad used to read the Sunday Times, and there was the job section, and I used to look through this, saying, right, where's all the big numbers? Where's all the big numbers? And what kept jumping out, so late 80s, early 90s, what kept jumping out was financial advisors and insurance sales and so on. So I thought, well, that's where I wanted to be, but I had no clue how to get into it because there was no internet.
No experience?
None at all, no. I just saw the big numbers and I thought, it's something I can do. I've got a vague interest in it. There was no internet, so I couldn't do any research that way. I was looking on the CFAX. So remember CFAX on the telly? So all like the really old stuff. That's a blast from the past. That's just come back to me. But I remember going onto the money sections, looking at stock markets, and I was getting books on trading the stock markets. And I remember seeing something on the telly about yuppies, as they were called back then. So there's a guy with a big, massive mobile phone, this kind of size, and a Porsche, like a white Porsche, and making a load of money trading. I thought, yeah, there's something in this. The financial industry fascinated me a little bit. But again, I didn't know how to get started until... when was it? It was probably about 96, 90... when was it? Yeah, late 90s, I saw somebody advertising, a company that were advertising to do the FPC certificates, the financial planning certificate. So you need 3 of those to get your financial advisor's qualification. And they were giving the training for the first one for free. And I found out afterwards it was like a recruitment strategy. So they would train 10 or 12 people, pick 1 or 2 and then to work for them. Yeah. But it was interesting because at that time I was just about to get married. So when they were doing the hotel recruitment thing, I was getting married, and when I was on my honeymoon was when they were doing the initial training. But I had a conversation with a manager and managed to sell myself on the phone, and he was impressed enough he says, based on everything we've said, I want to give you one of the opportunities. Nice. And I started with him there. So I knew that was I thought that was going to be my fortune. So that's where the money was had. So back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, it was very much a lot less regulated than it became. So it was much easier to get into, but you still needed those qualifications. So I did that over about a year or so. So I actually started as a financial advisor in 1999 then. I spent about 3 years in a telesales call centre, honing my skills in sales before that. But yeah, that's how that kind of journey started.
That's where you learn all the skills by speaking to people and doing it.
Well, actually, when I left Focus, which was the second company I worked for. I got a job working in a bank. It's called NWS Bank, Capital Bank, part of the Bank of Scotland group, and it was effectively a sales job, selling loans and credit cards and so on. But I was a bit naive. I was thinking it was just a nice, phone-based thing. There was a company car, there was a bonus structure, and I was working in a bank.
All the perks.
All the perks, and I thought, happy days. This is going to do for me. And so it was only kind of when I got started, I realised that it was actually a high-pressure sales job, and I had no sales experience at all. So I had to learn very quickly and learn on the job, because again, once I get into something, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to turn around and say, you know what, this is hard, I'm out, as I know a lot of people do. But I just committed to learning the craft and became one of the top sales guys on the team, and did it for about 2 years, and then eventually spent about a year leading teams as well. So, and then my team was, we had like a monthly competition. I remember winning that about twice in the first year
and gain the
so.
skills that no one can take off you.
Exactly, yeah. So the ability to speak to people and to influence them to make a decision and to effectively sell to them is, it makes you money moving forward. So I knew I would need that skill, whatever I did moving forward. So I thought this is going to be a perfect kind of foot in the door or step on the ladder towards becoming a financial advisor, which is exactly what happened.
How did you get into property? You mentioned the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
Was it turning point?
The Book of
trigger?
Money. It was actually, it was the second book. So I remember vividly, it was about 2007, 2008. And I'd been working as a financial advisor.
Was it just before the property crash?
Just
because
before the crash.
There was crash around 2008,
yeah,
I think.
It was exactly that, January. It was end of 2008, beginning of 2009. So I remember it. So what happened in 2008, I was starting a journey of self-development. So I started reading loads of books, like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was one of them. But there was like loads of others. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad stood out as very, very different. So he had a very different concept and a different viewpoint. Some would say quite controversial, but definitely the number one book on money and property and so on. Then the second book was called The Cash Flow. What was it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad 2 was called... Was it called The Cash Flow Quadrants, I think, the second book?
Yes, I think so.
So the second book in the series, there was a little phrase in there. So I remember it's about 3/4 of the way through. And it was just a little line that was said in there that you don't need to buy property, you just need to control it to make your fortune. And that stood out to me. There was like, the whole book was interesting, but that one little paragraph changed my life, because at that moment, things hadn't gone so well in the worlds of finance, because, the credit crunch and so on. And, I needed to find some more creative ways of doing things. And that just kind of gave me the step up and the belief that something was achievable. So, like I say, that was about 2008. And then I did some research, and I found out online, as you could go online then, that the Rich Dad Poor Dad organization were doing a presentation in a hotel in Milton Keynes. And that was, I want to say, January or February of 2009. So in December 2008, I had my best ever month in financial services. I'd made loads and loads of money, and I didn't really know about marketing back then. So what I used to do was buy leads. So there's a website called moneysupermarket.com. I don't know if you're familiar with it. So it's like a price comparison site. So if you go on there and search for mortgages, there's a little button that says if you want to speak to take this if you want to speak to an advisor. And that was then sold as a lead to people like me back then. And I paid 50 to 150 quid per lead. And I thought, I'm going to make a fortune now. So all of the money that I made in December, I bought as many leads as I possibly could. And I remember having a folder that was about so thick with all these leads of people that wanted to review the mortgage. So I thought, I cracked it. And then in January 2009, credit crunch hit. The interest rate went through the floor, and I couldn't physically sell anything. There was the rates that they were on as a standard rate was way cheaper than anything I could sell them. So I kind of lost all the money, and I thought, that's not so great. Interestingly, I was as we were talking before, I was talking about property. I used to also sell off-plan property to clients in Spain and Cyprus and places like that. And we'd just done, in a couple of years, between two of us, we'd done about 35 units in Cyprus. But then Cyprus closed their banks for 2 weeks, just at the start of the credit crunch. They just froze everybody's accounts and then took about 5 or 10% off the top of all of them before they opened them up again. So that's the start of the crash happening. But then I was left with no money, and I needed to do something. found Rich Dad Poor Dad was doing a presentation, and it was a preview event, as it turned out, in a hotel in Milton Keynes the following day. So I cancelled the 3 or 4 appointments I had with clients, and I drove down there, went to this presentation, paid for a ticket to go to their 3-day fulfillment event in London, in Russell Square, remember it vividly, and spent 3 days being taught about property investing, and that was the start of the journey, effectively. So
brilliant. It was actually one of the first books that I've read as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what stood out to me was that them 4 quadrants.
Yes.
And I knew that I got to go from E to I.
Exactly.
That's my aim. It's still in my head.
Yes.
I'm not in that position yet, but at some point of my life, I want to be in investor's position.
Of course.
To have enough capital to execute on opportunities.
Yeah.
Because we both know, no matter what, if there is an opportunity, there is capital needed. Whether you raise money, you can do it that way as well, or you've got your own capital and you can do it yourself.
You can't do anything without money. They say money doesn't buy you happiness, but you try spending some time when you're broke.
They don't accept my beautiful smile in Tesco, when
exactly,
I go for shopping.
Yeah.
So,
or irons in the fire and like plans and ideas and stuff. It's you've got to find the money from somewhere for sure. But yeah, the cash flow quadrant was something that stood out to me, and it's. For anybody that doesn't know, it's E, S, B, and I. So E and S, E is employed. So I was very much in a job initially. I moved to the S quadrant, which is self-employed. But as I very quickly found out, you just own your own job. Mm-hmm. So you've got your own choices. You are your own boss. But then you've got to do everything else that comes with it as well. You actually probably make less per hour than you do in a job. But
admin,
the idea of
marketing, everything.
all the stuff that you don't want to do. But then moving over to the right side of the quadrant, which is where the money's created. So, a B quadrant is, I've built many businesses now, the B quadrant business, but the ultimate goal is to use that to create money to then move to the I quadrant, as you mentioned, to invest. And then the money just keeps coming in while you can put your feet up, smoke cigars and live your best life.
Living a dream.
Exactly.
Thinking about leaving UK for the better lifestyle? Picture yourself in Cyprus. Sunshine, sea views, and slower pace of life will help you to find your dream home on this beautiful island. So what happened after this 3 days course?
Okay, so I looked at what was being taught and I thought, well, this makes total sense. I went in there with a little bit of arrogance, thinking I knew it all. I had my pinstripe suit on and I thought, I know everything about finance. I'm a financial advisor. I was highly qualified. I'd got all the qualifications.
You still had
been
ego.
Doing it massively.
I left it in my 20s. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a new book actually, Ego is Enemy. I'm looking forward to read that.
Perfect. Yeah. I'll be interested in that as well. Yeah, you got to let the ego go. I went in there, and it was about halfway through, and they started talking about creative financing strategies and using things like credit cards. And as soon as he mentioned that, I thought, that's not for me. Because I'd got myself into trouble with credit cards. And at that point, it wasn't my fault. It was the credit card companies.
Okay.
I was telling them off because they'd cocked up when in fact it was actually me. But one of the best lessons I learned was not about property. It was about having an internal locus of control. So he said to Google, an internal versus external locus of control. I thought, what does that mean? And basically everything that happens to you is your fault, good, bad, or indifferent. You've got to take responsibility for everything. And it was a big turning point for me then, because I actually contacted my credit card companies to kind of renegotiate with them with a nice attitude of trying to get something out of it. And I remember being on hold for about 20 minutes. Now the previous call I'd had with them, I'd give them a bit of grief because I thought it was their fault that they'd messed up. So they obviously leave comments on the screen, and so on the system, whoever picked up the phone when I phoned him up this time, read the previous comments, they probably said, he's
aggressive
an angry man.
lad.
Yeah, exactly. This person didn't want to deal with me and hung up. So it was 20 minutes wasted. I had to kind of wait another 20 minutes to get through to the next person. And then, I just started a journey there. And I thought, there's so many creative ways of doing things. And I was being taught something by somebody who's a very successful multimillionaire who obviously knows what he's talking about. You've got to put your ego in check, Chris, because you're broke. He's a millionaire. Who's the one that's right here, him or you? So I listened to everything that was being said. And then I'm very coachable. If I know that what you're teaching me is the right thing, if I know that you've got the success that I want to have, I will follow, what's being taught. So I'm very, very coachable in that respect. but I'm also very selective about who I let coach me. But I just knew this guy was talking absolute sense, so I just went all in. So for the rest of that year, till about October, I just went out and applied literally everything that I'd been taught. I set up a monthly property and investing networking group in Manchester and Warrington and a few other places like that as well. I went out and did loads of property deals. I found deals and sourced them to other people. I did some JV deals. I got heavily involved in lease options. Did about 10 or 12 properties in the first 8 or 10 months, something like that. But for me, I was just following what was being taught, and I just thought it was just the normal thing to do. And then I think it was about October that year, 2009, they invited me to come back and share my story. So basically given a microphone, stood in front of a group of people. That was in Leeds.
Was it first time
First time
being
speaking.
in front of the people and speaking?
Never spoken in front of people before. But because all I was doing was talking about my story, there was no expectation. I had confidence because it was all real.
It's so much easier
happened.
when you talk about real things. Yeah. I'll just say something. I was yesterday on one of the networking events in Manchester. It was actually BNI.
Okay.
And 7 out of 10 people were reading everything about themselves, like who they are, what they do. They were not able to get 10 sentences together to tell what you do and what you're selling, why should I buy. There was one lady, bless her, but she was even repeating herself, I'm sorry, I am... Yeah, she was reading, and I'm thinking myself, like, if you can't say a couple things about yourself, how can I buy into it? You know, how can I do business with you if you're not confident of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to...
People do tend to get really, really scared of things that... It's the fear of the unknown, and they think that something's going to go wrong with public speaking, but... I've been public speaking for many years now, and I've spoken in about 20 different countries, so it comes very naturally to me now. But
so how was that first experience?
That first experience was brilliant. So I remember doing a great job because all I did was share my story.
Telling how it was.
And the trainer said to me, that was brilliant. How many of those have you done? I said, well, it's my first time. So he said, well, you're a natural. You should maybe consider doing this. So I ended up doing a lot more of those, as they called testimonials. I think they paid me about £150 to do them. And it was great. So I got around the right environment. I was networking with the right kind of people for a long time. And then, long story short, I got more and more involved with the organisation, and that led to me becoming a speaker and teaching all the way around the world. So good times. It was just putting that initial graft in and doing what I was told to do, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's about 140 people in that first event, and I know of only maybe one other person that's gone on to do, good things from it, because a lot of people tend to go to events and learn stuff but don't implement. So
which countries did you travel during that time?
So I did America, Canada, over that kind of side, and Mexico, and then we did all over Europe. So we've done Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand. We've done Jakarta, did New Zealand, Australia.
Were you still married that time?
So no. So I'm married now for the second time. So the first time, got 2 boys. They're 23 and 20 now, Lewis and Sam. We separated in 2013.
13, okay.
And then I met my now wife a couple of years later. So we're now married again. Wonderful, wonderful lady, and like I say, we've started
New family.
A little family again. So starting again must be crazy. But
I was only asking because with that lifestyle, it's very, very difficult to keep family together.
Yeah.
When you're away all the time, it's just almost impossible.
Yeah, it was. Everything has yin and yang, isn't it? So everything is like there's good and bad to everything, dark and light. And whilst I was probably having, it was a great business model. So I was being paid to travel around the world. I was flying business class. I was staying in nice 5-star hotels, seeing the sights a little bit, but I was there to work. I didn't really have that much time to travel whilst I was out and about. So whilst I went to some beautiful countries, I maybe spent a day, half a day or a day in the area sightseeing, but the rest of the time I was in a hotel. So all that was great, and I was making good money from it. But the net effect, the downside to it, if you like, is that my boys in their early teenage years, I wasn't spending as much time with them as I perhaps should have done or would have liked to have done. But it's, I
It's
had to
one of
make those
those,
decisions.
that was your opportunity. You just grasped it, and we could tell what could be, should be.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think, I guess everything would happen in our lives. We just have to take the best out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
To learn that lesson that we have to be taught and move on.
Yeah, you can't. There's no perfect scenario, and it's just if there's an opportunity, there's consequences for everything you do.
Look,
so
as much as you want to spend all your time with your family, you still have to bring bread on the table. Unfortunately,
exactly. Well, this is it. I think it's it's important. You've got to be the provider, especially as men, as a alpha male. You're the main breadwinner, so you've got to bring that money in. And one of the things I'm actually grateful for my first wife, that although we separated in 2013, we had the kids on and off. We had a week each, basically. So I had them for a week, and then she had them for a week. And because I had this opportunity to speak, it didn't always work with my week. And she was always really, really flexible. The best thing about that relationship is that we remained as friends for the benefit of the kids. So we never fell out in front of the kids. We never used them as weapons against each other. And we were never awkward to each other, because I've got so many friends that have a really, really difficult time with that. And it's nobody wins. The kids suffer.
The kids suffer, yeah.
And, we just wanted to make sure everything was right for them. So they've always known that, they've got twice as many birthday presents now, twice as many Christmas presents and all those kind of things. So they've only ever had, the benefits of it. Yeah. So when I've not been able to be there on my week, she would happily have them. And so it actually worked out okay in the end. I would have always liked to spend more time with them, but it's...
How old are they now?
They're 23 and 20 now, so... And they've just... Big lads now. Yeah, they've just moved out together as well, so they've just started their journey
life.
of... Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
So probably living the dream. God knows what they get up to.
What were the biggest lessons that you learned throughout that, speaking career and traveling?
So, I mean, I think it's important that people should travel, first of all. There's so many things out there.
The world is big.
The world is huge, and there's so many beautiful places to see, and different cultures and people and opportunities. Yet a lot of people just stay around doing what's comfortable and doing the same thing. So, if you get the chance to travel, do it. I'm grateful for having done that, because otherwise I'm going to spend my whole life wondering what the rest of the world looks like. So, got to get out and travel, definitely, no matter what. So, if you've got the ability to get out and travel, make sure you do that for sure. But also, secondly, which we'll probably allude to, but that was the best business I've ever done in terms of the money making opportunity. But the mistake I made was just having that as an income opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I used to teach, have multiple streams of income to give you safety and security.
And you didn't reinvest it,
but I didn't do it. What I made, I spent, and I was living the life like I was going to live forever. I was indestructible. Didn't need sleep, because sleep's for the weak, and I was just like flying around the world all the time. So obviously having an impact on your body and so on. And the thing is, everything is temporary. Yeah. Nothing is forever. And whilst the income was good, if it stops, then everything stops.
Then it's gone.
And it did. And it caused a few problems.
You mentioned to me that when you were doing gym, you had like a weird feelings, like you got weak, or what was it?
Yeah,
like?
that was really weird. So I did when I first started on the journey of going to this event, I was meeting people. Meeting some amazing people. So once you're around the right network of people, so people that were super fit and they were aware of the right mindset, and they were millionaires, so they were aware of finances and so on. So I met all these people, but one of them inspired me to run my first marathon. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to do it by the time I was 40. And when I was 39, I got the chance to run the London Marathon. Did it for charity, and I had a coach. Now at that point I was getting out of breath just going upstairs. So I only got the opportunity to run it about 12 weeks before the date. So I got a marathon coach who set me up with a 6 days a week challenge to go and, go and run. So I was running every day, no matter what the weather. In fact, I remember one time it was a Saturday, and it was my long run day. and it was, and I was at the point where it was probably going to be out for a couple of hours. You know, it was a fairly decent distance, getting close to the end. And I was looking out the window in the morning. It was absolutely howling. It was, you know, horizontal rain with sleet, and it was cold. It was windy. It was dark and grey. And I remember, and I was contemplating not going. I thought, I can't go in this. It's too bad. And then my wife at the time came down and said, "Oh, it's a shame." I says, "What's a shame?" She said, "That you can't run." I said, "Why can't I run?" I said, "Well, look at the weather." Says, "I'll be back in a couple of hours." And I put my top on. I just went. I thought, I'm not. It's at that moment when you don't think you can. That's when you should do it.
You know, pushing through that moment.
Yeah. Just,
you know, discipline.
Make the decision. Discipline is the key thing.
Is
yeah,
the
exactly.
Key. You know, motivation. I remember many times, like lying in a bed, feeling great after great day, thinking, "Fucking hell, I'm gonna smash gym tomorrow. I'm gonna run 10K." And then when morning comes, you know, it can change. The motivation is gone, can be gone in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but the discipline is what push you.
Yeah.
You know, to get those clothes on and go.
I remember it's one of those, you've got to, once you make that decision, you just got to commit to it all the way through. Yeah. And it's not about going for a run when you feel like going for a run. It's about going for a run when you don't feel like it. That's the ones that make a difference. That's what makes it.
At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner.
But anyway, to answer your question, so I did, you know, long story short, I did the London Marathon. I remember in 4 hours 41, so it was a pretty good time.
That's good.
But then the following year, I did the Manchester Marathon as well, because I was still match fit, if you like, from the previous year.
And you had better time that time.
So, and I did it in 3 hours 59.
Wow.
So actually, when I did the London one, it was a nice hot sunny day. It was beautiful. When I did the Manchester one, it was like the day I've just described.
Welcome horizontal
rain again. Welcome to Manchester. Yeah, exactly. So I only ran fast just to stay warm. Literally, I was still cold. But remember, I set off. I didn't know what time I was going to do it in because I hadn't really trained for Manchester. So I thought if I can do it in 4.5 hours, I'll be happy. And I set off with a 4 hour 15 pace runner thing, so you can get that pace. And I thought if I drop behind a little bit, at least I know I'll be under like 4.5 hours. But after about 2 or 3 miles in, I actually saw the 4 hour pace runner about a mile in front of me on a long run, on a long road, and I thought, I'm doing it. And the mind was set because, you know, I had to run at a certain pace, and I had all my watches and stuff, so you could work out your pace. I knew that I was on target just. And so anyway, I did it in with about 40 seconds to spare.
Is it difficult to finish marathon? Mind game. It's all in the head.
90% of the work is done in the training. So the actual marathon itself
you have to be
is
prepared.
just a bit. And it's, you know, I'd love to do more marathons. You
can't go and run marathon without any training because you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, exactly,
badly.
For sure. The marathon is won or run in the training. So I'd love to do more marathons because it's a great experience on the day. The energy of the crowd and stuff is just like next level. There's nothing.
And
nothing
the fact
like
you
it.
have to train for it will get you fit.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, all works.
It has benefits.
So anyway, I'd done those two marathons, but then it was soon. So that was 2011, 2012. It was 2013 when I divorced. I've got to say that year after separating was probably the toughest year of my life. I was in a really dark place, so I didn't do any fitness, and I was just kind of surviving. It's a bit of a kind of a black memory, really. I don't remember too much about it, but I just do remember being really sad and upset and doing a lot of crying and what have you. Because I always wanted that perfect family, you know, the wife and 2 kids and all that kind of stuff. And you know, nothing personal, but I didn't miss my wife at all. I missed the mother of my kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it was just, it was meant to be, you know, we needed to go our separate ways with 2 different people, but it was a tough time. But then soon after that, I got the opportunity to do the speaking. So I was then traveling the world, making a load of money, and I was probably still suffering a little bit with depression, but it's very much fixed things. It certainly covered it up.
Certainly,
like
when you get busy, I think you don't have enough time to think about it.
Exactly. But then I thought, you know what, I want to get my fitness back. So I kind of went to a gym, and I remember going on a treadmill, doing bearing in mind I've run a marathon, I've run nearly 5 hours. So I was doing about a minute, 2 minutes, and I was having like a whiteout, and I was sweating and was getting out of breath, and I had to sit down. I thought, that's a bit weird. Maybe I'm really out of fitness, so I'll go again tomorrow. And it happened for about 5 or 6 times, back to back, every single day. I thought, something's not right. But then I was back on the road again, doing some more kind of speaking tours, so I kind of parked it to one side. And I thought, I need to get this checked out. So I paid for a Bupa medical thing. I remember it's like £1,000 or whatever. So I went and got prodded and poked and, stabbed and like tested, and fingers where you don't really want fingers to be put on. It was the full thing, full service in MOT.
MOT.
And everything was clear. He said, your cholesterol's slightly high, but not so much that I would even give you medication for it. Other than that, everything's all ticking boxes. I said, well, I'm still concerned about this thing. So an extra £300 or £400, they put me on this treadmill test. And it was with a heart specialist. So he wired me up, put me on a treadmill, made me run up to maximum speed. And he said, right, everything's fine. You can just cool down now. And in the cool down, it started to happen again. So he's monitoring me. And I was out of breath. And I was like, as I was starting to come back round again, because I knew it was going to pass. It always did after a couple of minutes. By the way, this also happened if I had a hot shower. And it happened, it happened if I did some, some vigorous
some
exercises.
Stress to your body.
This guy says, right, it's all the signs are showing you're about to go into cardiac arrest. So there's an ambulance on its way. We're going to blue light you to hospital. Now I recovered now after 2-3 minutes. I'm back to normal again, so I didn't feel bad. So I went into this heart specialist A&E, effectively Manchester hospital, and it was weird because most people that get wheeled in are, close to dying or dead already. I was sat up kind of laughing and joking with everybody. Thought, what the hell are you doing in? It doesn't look right. But they did an angiogram, so that they put like a dye into your blood and x-ray your body and stuff. I remember there's about 4 or 5 of the world's top heart specialists in there, like the top of the game. And they were a little bit puzzled. They didn't know what it was. What they said it was, because there was no blockage visible. They were totally expecting to find a blockage where you put a stent in, which is like a thing that just opens up your blood vessels and so on. Your veins, that's the word I was looking for. But there was nothing. But they said it's like your muscles are contracting to restrict it, which is unusual because we've seen it before, people being born with it, but you've developed it because, I've run marathons in the past and now, something's changed. So it was a little bit strange because, they weren't aware of what it was. They didn't know what to do, but they just gave me some medication, which I didn't want to take.
Do you think stress played a big game in
Quite possibly. The honest answer is I don't know, but I kind of ignored it. I thought it's okay, it'll go away. They gave me some medication and what have you, but I just didn't want to take it, and I just carried on with my life. I then went back to a gym. I got a PT, and I said I've got these issues and stuff. So I did some lifting and whatever, and occasionally I'd have a bit of a whitey, and it just wait till I get my breath back. He said, right, okay, you okay? And then we carried on. So I just kind of brushed it to one side. I didn't, because these heart specialists didn't know. I just thought, I didn't think it would be anything serious. It's just, I suppose in my brain I didn't want it to be anything serious. I didn't want to be under medication or anything. I just wanted to carry on. But then I went through a lot of stress. Financially and relationship and a lot of other stuff going on for a few years, which has obviously built up and up and up, which then led to the old heart attack, as it did. So there was definitely. So
when did that happen?
That was early January 2021.
21. It was after we met.
Yeah,
I think we met about 2020.
Yeah, that's right.
When we wanted to do them speaking
we were going to do
together.
Yeah, we were going to run some events and so on before lockdown.
I think it was a couple of weeks after we met, we went to lockdown.
That's right. Yeah,
it was probably beginning of 2020.
Yeah,
and lockdown was around March, April, something like that. Yeah,
that's right. Because we were going to do an event towards the end of March. I think the 20th of March rings a bell, and then lockdown happened at almost exactly the same time. So I was at home. I hadn't had any injections, and I wasn't going to either at that point. So it wasn't related to that. A lot of people ask me that question because of the timing of it. But so I suppose that prior to that, so I'd been making a lot of money with that, speaking around the world and what have you, until about 2017, and then that company got closed down. So there's a lot of financial issues. There's a lot of other stuff going in with my life and what have you. I kind of got them all sorted. And it was like, all the pressure was on, and then I'd relaxed. Most of the stuff was all fixed. I was back to earning money again, and things were starting to get a little bit better. And that's when it hit. So it was 4th of January. It was a Sunday, and we'd been out for a walk. It was just a normal day. Me and my girlfriend been out for a walk, and then we'd got back. We'd had some food. It was about 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, and I remember going upstairs to the toilet. She was down in the kitchen making a glass of water. Don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but I was sat on the toilet, shall we say. I wasn't stood up, and but I had my mobile phone, so I was sat as you do, watching your mobile phone. So I now can't I physically can't go to the toilet without my mobile phone. A lot of people say you should leave that behind or what have you. And there's the old joke as to how long does it take? Well, if you're just there on your own, it takes 30 seconds. If you've got your mobile phone there, you can be there 15 minutes, can't you? So, but I was on my mobile phone. But that's when I collapsed. That's when it happened. So I collapsed while sat on the toilet, but I dropped my phone on the floor.
Okay.
And when that landed, she heard that.
So
my girlfriend heard that in the kitchen, and that saved my life. So she instinctively knew, women are amazing creatures. And she instinctively knew something was wrong and came running upstairs and found me. I was just in the corner like that, like shaking or whatever. So she very quickly pulled me off the toilet and started doing CPR, phoned 999 on her phone, and they're kind of telling her what to do, compressions and whatever. And she said she remembers thinking, I can't do this on my own. Now, we've got friends and neighbours that live 2 doors down, Rob and Rebecca's a nurse. And she happened to be home that particular night, luckily. I think they were watching a film and whatever, and Becca just went through because we didn't actually know their number, but she went on Facebook and there was a previous message that saw that and then pressed a button on there to ring them, and they answered, and she was just hysterical. The neighbours have said that the noise sounded like I was attacking her with a knife or something. You can just imagine the trauma that she's gone through. My days. So anyway, she was just screaming to them. So they knew something was wrong, and they came through to the house. One came through the front door, one came through the back, and came running upstairs. And like Rebecca then took over. She's a nurse, so she took over doing CPR for about 15 or 20 minutes, and pretty much helped save my life. Paramedics came. It was the start of lockdown, so they spent about 5 minutes suiting up with all the protective equipment before they even came in. Put the old shockers on, and I didn't come round. I was in a coma for about 3 days, so there was signs of life, obviously. But they took me to the
Did you have any experience in that coma?
Nope, nothing. I don't remember being on the toilet. I remember being downstairs saying I was going up to the toilet, but I don't remember anything after that.
Anything after?
And then the next thing I remember was, I think it was about the Wednesday, coming round and immediately being put on the phone to Becca and saying, she was saying, do you know what's happened? And I said, no. So you've had a heart attack. And that was the first I knew of it. I thought, wow, okay. That was unexpected. So, tough. It was an interesting time because I didn't experience any of this. I was in hospital and I was in there for about a week. They sent me out quickly because of, COVID and whatever. So I couldn't have any visitors that week. So Becca was my nurse for a few days afterwards, and then I remember after a few days getting the courage and the strength to just walk to the end of the road and back, and then I kind of built it up slowly every day. But it was probably 8 or 9 months before I started to realise that I'd actually had a heart attack, because I was definitely quelling it, denying it,
Close.
Yeah. And then on the 1 year anniversary, the 4th of January the following year, that was a really emotional day, and I had a breakdown in the kitchen and give my girlfriend a hug and a kiss, and that was the realization that when you go through things like the first birthday, it's like when you lose somebody.
Yeah.
The first birthday, the first Christmas and stuff, which other people have suffered from. For me, it was realizing that almost didn't happen, and my kids, never, were close to not having that experience with me ever again, and it hit me quite hard. So, but yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago now. So
how did you get your health back? Because I know that you ran again.
Yeah,
half marathon in Manchester.
Well, after about 2 or 3 months, so I started doing walking, and I kind of rediscovered my love for walking because getting out in the fresh air, getting away from the sound of traffic, just going for a walk, because obviously it's winter time, so there's snow on the ground. but just walking with the sound of gravel under my feet, and it was like away from everything else. I thought, yeah, this is great. This is freedom. This is, this is nice. So I did more and more walking, and then after about, I think, 3 or 4 months, I went in for various tests, and they put me on a treadmill again to test me, and they even got me running on a slight incline. We said, we don't normally get people going this far, but I'm relatively young. I was like 49 at the time. So he said, what would you like to do? And I kind of jokingly said, maybe I'll do another marathon. Didn't really want to. I had no intention of doing that at all. But he actually said, well, there's no reason why you can't. Don't do it this year. Don't do it right now. But there's no reason why you can't. You can build up to it. So I thought, sorry, I will. So I'll do that. And that's exactly what I did. So in 2024, last year, I did the London Marathon again, obviously for British Heart Foundation, and did it in 4 hours 53, only 12 minutes slower than the first one I did. So
that's brilliant.
I was very happy with that. So yeah, that was cool.
Is it healed now? Like, did you feel anything during the
marathon? I feel totally fine. So the way that I train, the way that I was trained for my first marathon was about running to burn body fat rather than sugars. So it's not about stressing your heart. It's about maintaining a certain heart rate. And, technically with that style of running, you can run for miles, and people run for days. They do massive ultra marathons. As opposed to when I did Manchester the following year, like in 40 minutes less, that was full on. That was like, that took all my senses away, and I was, I crossed the finishing line and collapsed. When I did the London the first time, my coach said to me, my goal for you is to cross the finishing line in a better mental and physical state than when you started. So you're on drugs. What's wrong with you? You can't. That's not possible. But I did. I felt great. So I used the same style of training for this time. So it's very, very low impact on the body, and it's the way that you run is like you just roll your feet. It's a super steady pace. Just keeping to a certain heart rate, and it's your body's burning body fats rather than sugars and stuff. So took it super steady. It wasn't super impactful. But yeah, so British Heart Foundation, the journalists were there at the end and asking people for the stories. So I kind of shared my story. I don't think there's many actual heart attack survivors running in the marathon. Most people are doing it because sadly they've lost somebody to the same thing. Yeah, it was an interesting time. But I was so happy to have done that. And I wanted to set an example to others, and maybe to my boys as well, my family. So just complete the story on the heart attack as well. About 4, 5, 6 months after the heart attack, I proposed to my girlfriend. She said yes. So I thought, how can I reward somebody for saving my life? I'll give her me for the rest of her life. She's got the lifetime package.
Brilliant.
She
I saw the
said
pictures.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, it was good times.
Congratulations.
And then we've got
a new boy.
Little boy as well. So yeah, little Hugo. So he's 3. So he came along. So my older boys came down to London, and I saw them in 2 or 3 spots. And then Hugo was there as well. So hopefully he'll have memories of that forever, and it'll set them an example. And full circle as well. The Manchester Marathon this year, Lewis, my eldest lad, completed that himself. So he's, I've inspired him to run as well. So
I believe we set examples to our kids, because even if they don't watch, they're still watching.
Yeah.
They know what you do.
Oh, it doesn't matter what you say, it's what you do. Yeah, for sure.
It's what you do.
Yeah.
Like I've been sharing, my lad is playing football.
Okay.
And I've been sharing some screenshots when I was running, sending him. I've done 10K. And then in the evening, he just messaged me on WhatsApp. I was somewhere. I think I was in Manchester doing some viewings, and I just got a message, "Dad, 5K run done.
Nice.
This is my time."
Nice. Yeah.
And things like, I think he was. I probably already said this before, but he was 10, 11. And because he always saw me like reading books, and sometimes he grabbed it, and I gave him actually 1 or 2 books. He's not reading. He's that age. He's 13 now, teenage. He's not into it. But I could see he was telling me things like that. I know what it's all about. Good. I said, what? It's all about your mind. As soon as you set your mind right, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
And 11 years old telling me this. I only found out this when I was 30. through the books.
Of course, yeah.
No one told me that.
Yeah.
I came from normal family, both parents working in jobs, never been in business, so I think we set example to our kids, definitely. They're watching what we do.
Definitely, yeah. And it's not just about the marathon or running. It's so much more than that. It's life in general, and it's just being successful, having the right mindset to achieve something. Doesn't have to be running. And I think
having
all
that
kind
family,
of stuff,
for example, like you said, what hit you the most, that you wanted it so much, that home, you've got it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's an example that no matter what happened to you during the life, no matter how many ups and downs you have, you can still,
still bounce back,
still
keep going. And you can choose whether you want to be old or young as well. So, like having Hugo, I've done it for completely selfish reasons, to keep me fit and active and stuff. And he's wild like I used to be. But it means I can go out and do all the fun things, because I'm a big kid at heart, and I've got fond memories of spending time with my older boys, taking them to just things like museums and days out, and family days out, the kind of stuff that you'd look a little bit strange going to on your own without the kids. So having Hugo has given me the excuse to get out there and do all the childish stuff again, which is keeps you young, doesn't it? So
we're only old as as we believe we are.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Second episode, I had Royce Banks here. He owns local gym, 70 years old, trains every single one day.
I saw that. Yeah, what a legend. Yeah,
fit as.
Yeah. Well, this one thing that I've let go in the last, probably just this year. I've been focused on other things. It's very difficult to get the balance right, because you got business. You've got to work hard on your business for your income. You need your own mental and physical state. You've got relationships and everything else, and family, and trying to get everything balanced is. I don't know anybody on the planet that's got them all lined up.
I don't think that ever is like pure balance, that you don't have to do anything and money is still coming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen. No matter how many businesses you've got, no one will ever look after your business like yourself.
Exactly.
It's yours.
Exactly.
In the end of the day. So
and it's been a tough year. I know it's been a tough year for many people. So whilst I've been putting more energy into kind of survival mode in the business, the fitness takes a bit of a hit. So one thing I do want to get back is the fitness. I'm not saying that I'm going to run any more marathons. In fact, I can tell you now, I'm not going to do any more marathons. Stop it. Start with the mindset thing. But
you feel okay when you run like 10K or?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. It's once you get to marathon distance, obviously it may potentially have an impact on the body and stuff for me personally. So I'd be keen to explore maybe doing some 10Ks and half marathons. 10K is. I'm not saying it's easy. Well, it is. 5 10Ks are an easy training run. I've been without training before, and then just gone straight in and done a 10K, and I can do that. It's a stress. It's a stretch without any pre-training. But a couple of weeks in, I can do 10K.
Easily.
No question at all. I can do that in around about an hour and 5 minutes, taking it steady. So maybe I should just do some 10Ks, but I want to work on my physical strength and get the physique back a little bit, because 53 now, I don't want to get to 70 and being like, not able to do anything. So I think it's important at this age for us now to focus on.
I'll message you then from time to time. I'll be your accountable.
Hold me accountable, for sure. I'll put my Garmin on, and then we can track each other on there for sure.
I started again, and I love it. I don't want to lose too much weight, but I love that feeling that it's just you, your thoughts. You can rewind the days before, what went well, what went wrong.
Yeah.
You've got lots of time for you. Even like usually I do like 10K, which is an hour or 55 minutes if I'm lucky. And there is so much benefit from it. The feeling afterwards, endorphins, everything.
I think it's important to not be busy doing stuff. I suppose I'm giving myself some coaching now, but you've got to find that time for meditation. I remember seeing a speaker on stage who was talking about the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama was saying to somebody, he says, "You need to meditate," and she said, "But I don't have time. I'm too busy." So he said, "Meditate more." And it is, you've got to find that time. And I'm guilty of it myself. I definitely need to do more of that. But finding that time just to kind of unwind from tech and just being out in the open, in the open air.
I started meditating again.
Yeah.
3 weeks now.
Okay.
Every morning. Usually wake up 5:30, 6, and 15-20 minutes max.
Okay.
But it clears my mind completely.
Yeah.
It's like a reset.
Yeah.
It's like
it's so powerful.
clearing all the shit from the mind, the thoughts that you're always thinking about, you know.
Yeah.
Because we can start a day with all the negatives in most of the time.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
thinking about it
you're
overnight.
walking downstairs, looking at your phone, fucking hell, 10, 15 messages on WhatsApp, you know, issues with houses, with tenants, with builders and all that, you
all
know.
the stuff. Yeah.
But if you clear it, it's like, you know, resetting it, and you start fresh again, and you go.
I think it's really important to do that, and you know, I found a lot of joy in a lot of clarity when I'm running as well, because just looking out into the open, and even when I'm running, for me that was
when
good
it's
meditation
nice
time.
outside, it's
exactly,
next level sunshine.
Beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, don't get that so much in the northwest, but
not really.
it's the thought that counts.
I have to watch weather when I go for my runs, you know.
Exactly.
I'm thinking, I'm not running this day. Fuck that 90% rain.
Yeah, that's the best day to go, though.
yeah, true. At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner. What do you do now? What are you focusing on now?
So a couple of things. So one thing that I find the most valuable, most important thing is time. Okay, so I could do what I used to do and kind of work 24 hours a day and like, push business and make a load of money, but I've done that in the past where I've worked hard, made some good money, but other things suffer. So because I've started again with Hugo's a great grounder for me in terms of I've got friends, for example, who slight side story, who've, you know, their kids are the same age as my older boys, but obviously they've all flown the nest now, so they're now free to go and do whatever they want to do. Whereas I've started again, so they aren't, you know, obviously having a young child is tying and restrictive in a lot of ways. And they say quite commonly, they say to me, I don't know if I could start again. I don't know if I'd have the patience. But you know what? The opposite is true. I'm finding I've got way more patience with him. I don't lose my rag with him at all when he does things that I would have definitely done so in the past with the others. Purely because I know how fast the time goes. Because you blink and they've grown up. And every time I look at Hugo, he's going to be going. So, you know, even if things are tough, if he's waking you up in the middle of the night or, you know, the kind of stuff that happens with kids and stuff, you just look at it and just be grateful for it because you miss those days.
Enjoy the time.
Yeah, enjoy the time because you miss them and they're gone very quickly. And he's 3 years old, but he was only born like a month ago and he's already 3 years old. It's
I can see
mad.
this on my little girl. She's 9 now.
Yeah.
Still little, but not as little as she was when she was 3-4 years old, you know.
This is it.
And I can see she's growing and I'm thinking she will be in teenage, you know,
before you know
no
it.
more cuddles, no more kisses. I'm like,
exactly. So make the most of every moment. So that's the important thing. So what I do is, so there's a couple of things. So I work with a couple of events companies. So I help out with, so because as a speaker, I understand, you know, what a speaker does at events. So like I said, I've spoken.
Is that something you really enjoy, public speaking?
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
speaking in front of the people.
It's the whole events experience. So just going back to the speaking journey, initially it was very much about stroking my ego. Okay, so talking about the ego thing, it's about, you know, you're up on stage and the audience tend to put the speaker on a pedestal and, you know, they look up to them as somebody who's superhuman. You're not necessarily superhuman. You've just learned what they want to learn. You're just, you know, you may be weeks or months or years ahead of where they're at right now. So it definitely was an ego thing in the early days. And my original goal was to be a big name, a very well-known speaker on the big stage with my name in lights and all that kind of stuff going on. But having been in the industry for, you know, 16, 17 years now, it's not all that because it's just not what it's made out to be. And that creates other issues and problems as well. I'd rather be a little bit more underground, but I do love the industry. I don't speak now for an ego stroke. I don't speak just for the sake of it. But if I get the opportunity to speak, as I am doing occasionally, it's a definite buzz. You definitely get some stuff out of it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more than that. So, because when I first started, I was sat in the audience, and then I came back to share my story for 10 minutes. And then I used to volunteer, like running around with a microphone when people had questions, and I handed out pieces of paper. And then I volunteered to just be around for the 2 or 3 days. And then I remember them saying to me, says, "Listen, Chris, your background is sales. Why don't you come along and learn sales?" So I said, "Yeah, I'm game for that." So when people go to an event, quite often there's an offer for a higher ticket training package, for example. So there would be an interview to enroll people into that process. So he said, "Well, you can come to 3 events, just shadow the sales team, and we'll see how it goes." So the first event I did, I remember that was in Leeds as well. And there was a lady that I was shadowing doing the sales, and there was these 2 guys, interestingly from Manchester, and she was trying to close them, and it wasn't going well. So I kind of pushed her to one side, took over, closed the deal, and they basically said, "I see, you don't need any more training. You could train us. You're good at this." So I did sales for a long time before I was known as a speaker. But somebody asked me, "What would you like to do?" My first mentor, he sadly passed, Dr. Rohan Weerasinger. He sadly passed this year, very, very sad. But he's the reason I was speaking. And I remember him saying to me at a particular event, what do you want to talk, what do you want to do? What's your big goal? So I'd love to be a speaker. Now, you've got to understand, I was terrified of the idea. It's like being scared of heights, but like take me up a tall building straight away. And it was the most scary thing I thought. But I thought, if you do something that scares you, it's going to like get away with so many
next level.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I had to do. So I thought, right, I'd love to be a speaker. So he said, pick a subject, just one of the sections that we do over a 3-day event. Take the slides, go and study them, practice it at home. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll give you a slot. So I said, well, I used to be a financial advisor. You do a section on raising money, raising finances. I'll do that bit, and I'm ready now. Let's do it. And it was the following day. So I did it. In fact, it might have been that very same day. So I did it. I did an okay job. I delivered the information. It just wasn't very inspiring. So he then gave me loads of feedback, and I did it more and more times, and it became my go-to thing, and I did it every time, and it became something that I was renowned for. And I'm still doing that today. I kind of specialize in creative financing strategies as a result of that initial opportunity. Mm-hmm. So that led me into speaking. So I've been speaking and teaching things like business, about marketing, high-ticket affiliate marketing, about property and real estate and stuff in various different countries. But now I'd like helping, companies that run events, because I understand everything from start to finish. If I go in there as a consultant, for example, I can see many, many different ways that they can improve the systems and the processes. It's not just about being able to sell, it's about the whole systems and processes that make a business successful.
Your experience.
Yeah. So I was invited it's about 4 years ago to a live event. So this particular organisation had been doing sales online during the lockdown, and I was doing some of their sales calls for them because I had nothing else to do. So we kind of helped each other out. And then he said, we're going to open up doing events again. So do you want to come and help out? And because time was precious to me, I didn't really want to get back into the events game at that stage. But I said, you know what, I'll come and help out and do what I can. So we went to one event, and about 3 days before, his main sales guy quit and just decided to not come. So he phoned me up and says, "You still coming?" I says, "Yeah." So, well, it's all on you because I've got nobody else. So I went in there and I set a new record for him. So at that point, so the way you judge the results of an event is based on pounds per head sold.
Okay.
So his best ever event, I think he'd done about 4,000, just over 4,000 per head, which is pretty good. We used to do back in the day about 3,500 to 4,000. So it was about average. Anyway, I came into this event. There was about 20 odd people in the room, and we ended up about £6,500 per head in sales, all money paid in full and collected within a week. The previous event had done a total of 40 grand in sales with payment plans over a year. We did over 260 grand at this event, 240,000, something like that. Then the next event was better. So that first event I did was actually the worst one we've done in the last 3 or 4 years. So the reason I'm able to do that is that I know sales, not the best in the world, but I understand people. I understand the systems and processes. I understand what the speaker's trying to say. and kind of bringing it all together with all the systems and processes. So I've been involved ever since. I went to go and do one, and I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years.
So was that when you reached that 13 million?
That was prior to that. So
prior to that.
Yeah, so I'd done the 13 million from stage when I was speaking myself. So I'd helped impact about $13 million worth of sales, shall we say, around the world. Probably done since, and that's till 2014. No, till 2017, 18. But then since then, I've probably done another 7 or 8 or 9 million pounds worth of sales as well as a team. Not
of course,
me,
but still
the
great numbers.
I've been certainly testament to at least half of that, because there's pretty much 2 of us doing the sales at any time. So I do that. But one of the things that I didn't, sometimes we've got skills that we don't realize what we've got. Now, my knowledge around finance, having sold loans and credit cards on the phone, having spent 10 years as a financial advisor, and then spending time with property investors and millionaires that understand the money systems, turns out that I know quite a lot about all sorts of creative financing strategies. So I've recently been carving out a new brand around that. So I've been helping a number of different organizations. I've been on a couple of podcasts like this, just talking about finance on its own, and it's gone massively viral. So there's been some big results. So it shows that people are interested in it. And one thing that I'm really, really passionate about, never been one for politics. We'll probably not go there because we'll probably be here for days then. Yeah. But there's a lot of changes happening in the world right now. And I can see very, very clearly that over the next 4 or 5 years, the digital ID is going to be linked into a digital currency, because currency as we know it is screwed, and it can't last forever. We're paying trillions of dollars a day globally in interest payments. The daily interest payments currently is more than there is money on the planet. So it makes no sense in terms of, where's it all gone and how long can it last? And it can't last forever. So I know that the plan of the bigger world plan is to take control of the currency, get rid of it and reset it with a digital version. The worry of a digital version is it can be controlled more. I've seen the effects of this in places like China, where they've got social credit scoring and all sorts of stuff like that. And without going into too much detail, I'm really, really worried about the future, especially with Hugo now being so young and what future coming? He's got. So I'm on a bit of a mission to kind of educate, help people understand around business and systems and money and strategies. And you don't have to be part of the 9 to 5. You don't have to follow what is considered normal. You don't have to fit in and do what most people think you have to do. And the bigger picture here is that the world is about, everything is about control. Be it religion, be it about education. The school system is just designing, as Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about. He talks about it in the book. But the education system is not helping people to learn about things like, you don't know anything about finances when you leave school. Mm-hmm. Algebra. I mean, who's ever used algebra in their life? About remembering useless information that you copy into a exam thing. And the way I see education system is it helps people learn useless information that can remember it and copy it down into a book, and then they're given the false impression that they're better than everybody else. So that's just divided the audience. Half the people think. So they've got all these super qualifications, but most people who leave university with a massive debt, by the way, are working in McDonald's. There's no the jobs that you're being taught at school won't even exist in the next few years.
I experienced a couple in recruitment as well.
Yeah.
There were pickers and packers,
with
2 universities, and the fact was they couldn't even be on time in work.
Wow, yeah.
So they didn't even manage to get basics right, like coming to work on time and coming the days that they're supposed to be there.
Crazy.
And they think that, nothing against uni, it never been for me, but some people just think that some kind of education ticket will give them easier life. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately, not in this world. Thinking about leaving UK for the better lifestyle? Picture yourself in Cyprus. Sunshine, sea views, and slower pace of life will help you to find your dream home on this beautiful island.
No,
we've got YouTubers making millions, and we've got Bonnie Blue making millions,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and different people.
I always say, I mean, is it Elon Musk says that I don't have degrees and MBAs and stuff, but the people that work for me do, and it's if the education system is okay for a certain kind of person. So if you want to go down the route of being a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, you need the qualifications. That's the route to go. But the vast majority of people, it's not fit for purpose. If you look at a picture of a school from 100 years ago and today, it's the same thing. If you look at a picture of a prison setup, it's the same as school. If you look at the factories, the bell at school is designed to program people's minds for the bell in the factory, and everything's about control, and nothing's evolved, nothing's changed. And one of my favourite phrases is that, if everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to spend its entire life thinking it's stupid. And that's the reality of it. So all our kids are very, very good at different things, and they're really skilled in certain areas and really poor at other areas. Yet they're all forced down this process of having to do the same thing. And as Hugo gets a little bit older, I'm also concerned about the school system for him, because he's free and he's happy and he's sociable and he's funny and he's confident and he's all the things that you would expect a boy to be. But I remember, one of my older lads being the same until he went to high school, and things changed. He kind of went more poker faced, and it changes people, and it takes away their creativity. It takes away their their ambition and all the rest of it. And it's deliberately. It's part of the controlling the population. So, I'm very, very passionate about. I don't know what the answer is, but certainly about creating awareness around it and helping people find a better way, because you've got to look after yourself, and we've probably got about 5 years opportunity where you can create real wealth now, because I think in 5 years' time, by the time 2030 arrives, and there's big plans for that, if people want to look up Agenda 2030, that's when the digital currency is going to come in. That's where control is going to come in about what you can and can't spend your money on, and all these things that most people are thinking, it's just conspiracy theories, it's just stories. It's happening. The evidence is there. It's very clear to me what's happening. So you've got to kind of, if you want to be part of that, great, just carry on doing what the mainstream media is teaching us to do, and keep watching the films that are programming the mind, and everything's just being normalized now. But if you want to be free, then you've got to look after yourself, because nobody's coming to look after you. So you've got to learn about money, you've got to learn about business, and business is simple, man. You just got to help people.
To solve their problems.
To solve the problems. You just find a problem that you can solve for people, and people will pay you money for that. And it's not about ripping people off. It's not about conning people into doing something that's just a dream. It's just give people a real solution to real problems that is worth money, and you're there to help them. So and there's many ways you can do that. So you've got to look after your family. You've got to take responsibility for yourself, as we're doing. We've been talking about it. And
definitely.
But most people don't. Most people just get stuck in the matrix, effectively. So,
is there advice you would give younger yourself?
Oh my God, yeah.
Knowing everything you know now.
Well, number one, buy one Bitcoin, maybe 2 or 3 from day one. But advice for younger self is stay off the alcohol too much in the early days.
Yeah.
But also be around the right kind of people. Read more books.
Yeah.
Get educated.
When did you start reading?
Well, interestingly, actually, very, very young. So I remember I was probably 16, 17, 18. And I don't know if you remember, there was a thing, there's these like book clubs where you spend £2 or £3 and get 4 or 5 books delivered to you. And then you would get like 1 book a month delivered to you. And I got a load of books then. Stuff about NLP, stuff about mind map, Tony Buzan, stuff about business related stuff about investing in the stock market, a whole variety of different books. So I was reading from a very, very early age, because I wanted to expand my mind, and I knew that the school system was holding something back, And then I think late teenage, early 20s, I got a little bit distracted. Booze and girls and all that kind of stuff, how it normally goes. But then probably got back into it again in my kind of late 20s, early 30s. So let me just have a think. So 1998, I went, I really went back into it in a big way then. So, and I just read back to back. I was just reading books. I was probably doing about a book a week back then, just really getting stuck into it. And
Any one of them made massive impact apart from Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad's the go-to for most people. But there was one called the Rules of Wealth, and it's just little, like 2 or 3 pages at a time, just like very, very short stories.
Yeah.
But there was 1 or 2 things that picked up. That really started things for me. The 4-hour work week, so by Tim Ferriss, and anything by Tim Ferriss. So that's all about systems and processes that, you can work for just 4 hours a week by, not doing the time-consuming things when you can outsource a lot of things. And that's when I first started getting VAs from the Philippines to do some work for me to systemize things so you can work on your business rather than in your business. But yeah, things like that. They were some of the most defining books for me, I think.
I've got one I want to recommend.
Okay.
To people. I like reading as well. As you can see, I've got a couple books there. And yeah, actually, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago, I had that NLP teacher of mine here in podcast. That will be interesting. He was dropping some really good golden nuggets.
Yeah, I bet.
And Napoleon Hill, many people probably know him back in 1930s, I think, 33 or 34. He wrote Think and Grow Rich, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this one, How to Own Your Own Mind, is probably half of it. It's an interview between him and Andrew Carnegie, who was the steel
that's
icon.
How the book started, wasn't it?
He was a millionaire in 1900, which some people were working for $3 a week those days. So it's kind of like an interview, but it's a great book. Obviously, again, about the mind, how we can control our thoughts, how we need to narrow our attention to things that we want to focus on, because there is so many distractions that we can have in our minds. And I've been starting doing this lately, and I'm honestly talking, Chris, probably about 3-4 weeks, and things started falling into places again.
Okay.
I've got great guests coming to my podcast. I focused on that. I've got bigger deals landing on my table that I can sell potentially and monetize. Things started happen again. I never stopped training. I always been like 5-6 a day, but I've got structure now. I train, I meditate in the morning, clearing my head, and honestly, when you focus on knowing what you think about and basically narrowing that focus to certain things that you want to do, it can change things. And people just come into my life that I never thought they were there, and actually I've got it all in my circle. Incredible. Everything is there. I've got people like you that we will collaborate at some point, and we will make some money together. We're just that busy that we don't know we are there. We met in 2020 and we didn't really speak until I saw you in Rob's podcast, and I'm like, right, I need to invite him, because that one day that we spent together around that table with Mars Dave, it was great for me.
Yeah, it's a powerful
and I was thinking like, fucking hell, I'm in my late 30s and I've got all these people around me that I can use to my advantage, make them money as well. With Mass collaboration, I made him money on my project. I sold a couple of his properties. I'm selling another property of his. Always comes and back basically with benefits for both sides. So
exactly.
So yeah, great book if you want to know how to control your mind.
It's a fantastic book. One of the big books as well is Think and Grow Rich.
That was a game changer for me as well.
For sure.
That passion, having that great feeling about the passion, what you want to do. Yeah. Would you say that people should find their thing, what they want to do in life? Because like for you, public speaking, I believe it's something that is on the top of the ladder, and when you do it, you feel like fish in the water.
Feel alive,
That's your thing,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
You don't even have to put too much attention to it, and you still do it well.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with speaking is that, I like speaking about something I'm passionate about and something I understand. If I have to follow somebody else's process and systems and, a certain script and stuff, I'd collapse. I'd struggle with that. But yeah, if you're speaking passionately about something that
you've done,
that's
it's
important,
real.
that you've done, that's real. Yeah, exactly. Then it just kind of flows through you, so you don't have to worry about what you're going to say. And in fact, it's very rare that I know exactly what I'm going to say when I get on stage. So I always like to have a bit of humour and throw a bit of fun in there as well. But I say to people sometimes I'm just as surprised as to what comes out of my mouth as you guys are as well. So I can say some funny stuff sometimes, and it just flows in the moment. And I think one of the best ways to learn is with humour. So I've learned that, when I was studying to be a financial advisor and so on. We went through like a lot of really intense training over about 3 weeks, like a residential training course. It was like back-to-back training exam. But we had a lot of fun while we were doing it. And as a result, our test results were better than other groups before us and stuff. So I just know that having fun is a great way to learn. So, one of my ethos on life, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, you've got to be enjoying yourself. So if you don't enjoy what you're doing, change. If you're not happy where you are, move. You're not a tree.
Yeah.
One of the things I picked up a long time ago. So
I'm
find
big
something
fan
that you
of
enjoy
changes.
doing. Yeah, for sure.
If something doesn't work, just change it and
move quick.
Move quick
and fail fast. Here's the thing: as an entrepreneur, we're taught to never give up. So there's two things that I say to people that are completely opposite, and one is like never give up. So it's an old Winston Churchill quote. I actually used to have that on big vinyl lettering stuck to my landing wall. So my boys, when they came out of the bedroom, they saw never, never, never give up. So from a very early age, they
I've got one of his quotes on my leg as a tattoo.
That's right. Yeah.
If you're going through hell, keep going.
Keep going. Exactly. But then the other opposite to that is fail fast. So if you try something that's not working, just know that you've found something that doesn't work. So that's brilliant. That's a tick in the box. That one doesn't work. Let's try a different way. And a lot of people keep flogging a dead horse to keep trying to make something work. And you can't push a piece of string. So there's all these little one-liners that I've heard all over the place that kind of comes back and reminds you from time to time that find what works, find what you enjoy, do what you enjoy doing. So the old way of doing things would go to school, work hard in a job that you probably didn't like anyway, and then you retire and then you can live your dream. That's crap. I'll never stop working, but I'll always be doing something I enjoy doing. So it's not classed as work.
Yeah.
And, have lots of mini retirements along the way. And Tim Ferriss talks about this. So, it's about being able to do the stuff you want to do. So, for example, we've got a caravan in North Wales. Mm-hmm. We'll go up there. North Wales is one of my favourite places on the planet. Beautiful. We could be there in a couple of hours. If the sun's shining, it's the best place in the world. And, we can do everything we want to do there. So I'm free to do that as and when, if we live in the UK, so the weather's not like it is
Spend the
most
time
of the
with
places.
those you love.
Exactly, yeah. But I can pick and choose. If you're just in a 9-to-5 job and you get 2 or 3 weeks holiday a year, you got to pick your holiday 6 months before, and it could be raining, and most people just use that. They work an entire year just to have 2 weeks away, whereas I can do multiple weekends away, or even a week or 10 days away, if the weather's favourable. So I can pick and choose when I work, and I think that's the important thing. It's about having freedom to do what you want with who you want when you want. It's not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of freedom. And for that, you need a business, a B quadrant business, as Robert Kiyosaki says, is a set of systems and processes that work without you. So I've created systems and processes that work without me, and I help business owners with that as well. So I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now, helping people with systems that kind of run in the background. Mm-hmm. So, you do what you're good at. If that's speaking, great. If it's talking to people, that's great. If it's, whatever it is that you're good at, systemize the rest. Outsource all that. Get systems in place, because it's systems that work. People fail. So you do what you're good at, get systems through the rest, protect your time, spend time with your family and friends, and have fun.
Work on your business, not in it.
Work on your business instead of in it. Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to be stuck in a rut like most people do. But if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Is loyalty important to you?
Essential. It's one thing I've always been is, you see people today they go into jobs. I see it from time, all over the place, where the young kids today, I don't know what generation we're in, because I'm Generation X. And then my parents were Boomers, and there's Ys, XYs, and Penguins. I don't know what it is now, but people don't even know what they're doing. But they say, "Oh, I don't want to do this because it's hard." It's like they just quit. When I first started my career at age 16, it wasn't a 9 to 5. Sometimes it was till 8 o'clock. I was working 40 hours a week. I was doing probably 45 to 50 hours a week. So I was over delivering. I would never finish at my finish time. I was doing a little bit extra. I'd go in on my days off. I was committed to the company to a fault, really, because it was only, it took being made redundant by them for me to realise that, that's silly. You've got to look after yourself now. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But yeah, I was loyal to a fault with them. And I've been loyal ever since, because it's just the right way to be. I think what goes around comes around. So if I'm committed to, I'll give you an example. So I'm committed to a particular company that's running some training events, and they've given me dates for the rest of the year. I've actually been given another better opportunity elsewhere, but because it clashes with the first one, financially it would make sense to say, well, actually, sorry, I'm going to have to let you down so I can focus on me. But the right thing to do is just be loyal to my original, honour what I'd originally agreed to do, and that's kind of the way that I work. So it's important. I think somebody once said, trust everybody but lock up your camels. So, you've got to trust your gut feel. So, shake hands, make an agreement with somebody, and for me, that's it, job done. And you've got to be loyal to an end then, because otherwise, if we can't trust each other, then what's left,
Exactly. And what I'm trying to do is create maybe small circle of people that I can trust, and we can do business together, and we can enjoy more time
for sure
with our families, and things that we want to do.
I've had a lot of conversations recently with people, and there's a lot of talks about potential business opportunities. Sometimes I think, you're just looking after yourself. But I've just got to say, I'd be more than happy to go into business with you. Trust level is like through the roof with you, and I've seen what you've done over the last few years.
Appreciate
when
it.
I first met you and I saw your work ethic and saw the results of what you were doing, and I know you don't.
You have to put the work in. Like when you were saying about the previous job, the most humiliating job for me when I came to UK was kitchen porter.
Okay.
I was already working in warehouse 8 hours. And this was my second job in Holiday Inn Hotel. Fucking hated it. I'd never done anything like that in my life, but I needed it that time to get that extra money to buy a car and start living.
Do what you do.
Before, all I knew was doors, girls, getting paid after night, going home, wake up, go to gym with mates, and then back on doors in the evening. The different type of life, and that like. Being there, washing the greasy pans, but it teaches you a lesson.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lesson to just bite your tongue, get on with it. When I was leaving, I was the best kitchen porter they ever had.
Yeah, good.
I'm positive about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was the job that I fucking hated. Every day I went there, I went there with the good feeling like, how long? Do I need to do this?
You just know it's part of the journey.
Everything teaches you a lesson. You have to take lessons and move on. It's like sometimes it's like wake up calls. Like right, now it's all coming together.
Good.
The puzzle.
Yeah.
And the picture is clearer and clearer.
You've got to go through the shit to get the good stuff at the end of the day. Haven't you?
And you enjoyed more.
Yeah.
You don't enjoy nice steak if you never been in a position that you had barely something to eat.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I've always said I've never wanted to win £1 million, but I would be happy to make it and like earn it myself. Because
definitely,
so many people are ruined by winning big chunks of money in the lottery, for example. Because whilst they've got the money in the bank account, they don't know what to do with it because they don't appreciate it. So I think you've got to go through the pain to appreciate the good stuff when you get it, because you will.
100%. Like with the food, another example. It's in my book as well. You listen my book audio. When I was in prison, when I was in remand, I remember the food sometimes was that fucking bad that we couldn't eat it.
Wow.
It stunk. They were making pig's lungs or something like that, but it was just stinking so much that we couldn't touch it. So I still remember we had piece of bread left and pork. Is it lard? Like a pork fat,
right. Okay,
basically.
yeah.
We put that on the on the bread, pinch of salt. Mate, I still remember how nice that piece of bread was.
Really?
Just a little bit pork fat and pinch of salt.
Okay.
And that, when I'm thinking about that, like that life experience, that sometimes even piece of bread is great for me to kill that hunger that I had in my stomach.
Yeah.
When I go for beautiful steak, I fucking enjoy it even more because I know how it is when you have to eat crap, you know. And sometimes these lessons are crucial and needed in your life.
I think you've got to go through it for sure. There's no question. I think it's about being humble as well, because everybody's going through a journey.
We all have stories.
And just because somebody's doing a job as a kitchen porter and you hated it, for some people, there's people out there making a living by just cleaning hotel rooms. And I remember speaking on stage once. Interesting story about. I remember going into the toilet and there was a guy. I think he was emptying the bins, and I think the bottom of the bin bag broke. And as he picked the bin up, that just like crap went all over the floor. And you could tell he's probably had a lot of shit going on in his life, because he's just a normal human like the rest of us. He's like, oh, fuck. And it's just like one of those things, you know, when it happens, it's just, it's the last thing you want to happen. And I said, don't worry about it, mate. I'll give you a lift. I helped him with a few things. And I said, by the way, you know, I see you use this toilet quite a lot. It's mega clean. You do such a great job of it. It's just, I didn't do it for any effect or anything like that. It's just
wanted to give him that.
Wanted to make him feel good. It was just a genuine, genuine compliment as well. It cost nothing, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to help him for 2-3 minutes. It's not going to cost me anything. It's not going to cause any impacts for me, and he's just another human. I'm going to help him. Anyway, I shared this story from stage, and it was just not about him in particular, but I just said, you know, we're all on a journey. Nobody's better than anybody else. And you'll see people working, cleaning your hotel room. Now, don't just walk past them and like look down on them. They're on the same level as you. You know, we all shit the same. We all have families and stuff. So it costs you nothing. Just say good morning to people and say, thanks for doing my room. It's done a great job. Because these kind of people, they're not necessarily motivated by money, but just a thank you at the end of the day is probably the best thing that they could ever have.
Important to them because...
And it's so important. But I remember telling this story at this particular hotel. It was the Millennium Gloucester in Kensington in London. And I said it from stage, and I mentioned about the guy in the toilet, and I'd picked up this stuff. Anyway, I saw him later on that day, and I said, all right, mate, how's it going? He says, my God, I don't know what's happening today. Everybody is so nice to me, and everybody's been paying me compliments. So obviously people have been coming out of the room, and you can tell that this ripple effect had its effect. It was moving forward, and he was
brilliant.
So different energy about him. He didn't make any difference to his money, but he'd have gone home happy that day.
Happy.
You know, which started
That's
from
brilliant.
pouring his shit
there are
over the
people
floor.
out there who do great jobs that we couldn't probably even do
exactly
at the level that they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, one of the last things I've got this One Penny Club. I don't know. You probably remember a little bit about it. Have you got anyone who fucked you over in life, bad way, owe you money or?
Not so much about the owing money thing. I think
stabbed you in the back when.
I've not really, because I remember listening to your audiobook and thinking, you know, it's obviously tough when you're doing business deals like that. You know, there was one relationship where we were selling property. Actually, we were selling property overseas, and it's just interesting how it all kind of finished, because it was because of the credit crunch, everything closed down. So there was clients that had paid deposits and so on, and there was commission due to me, which wasn't forthcoming. And then I was taken to court because I hadn't refunded some of the commission that was supposedly due back. And long story short, we both went to court, and neither of us won, but neither of us lost. So I didn't have to pay back my stuff because that was the right thing, but I was also counter suing because the other guy, in my opinion, owed me money, but the judge said no. It's just it is what it is. You sort each other out, and then we became friends after that. So there's been a few instances like that, but I think I've been quite lucky in respect of, you know, not losing out money wise to people. So I know you've had some challenges.
That's
so
good.
We've spoken about it.
That's good. I met so many fuckers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it. I'm like Constantine. I came from their souls, mate.
Yeah, I bet. The thing is, I mean, there's people that have spent a lot of time on. So I suppose it's the other way, where I've put work in expecting money to come back. So that it's not that they owe me any money, but there's an expectation
Yeah.
where people take you for a ride, and they expect more from you, and they when you've given so much, people expect so much more. They take you for granted, and
Yeah.
that happens quite a lot because of my loyalty. If I'm giving of myself and providing services to people, even though it's not paying as well as it should do, I will continue to do that, because I'm always optimistic that things will turn around. I'm also fearful of the thing. Well, it's not been well for a while. I'm going to step away right now, but then the next one will be like the best. Everything will take off again. So you're fearful of losing that, which is a foolish kind of way to look at it. But I suppose my loyalty keeps me poor sometimes, because I still give myself too long. Then
this is the thing about loyalty. It doesn't matter when everyone sees you. It matters when no one see things that you do, and they are the right decisions.
Yeah, okay.
But they will pay off later on along the line. Trust me.
Yeah,
they will.
Always. Yeah.
Like what you did with this company, that the other speaking events were crossing with the one that you already committed, but keeping your word, you will be just perceived as a man of word and man of honor.
Well, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be somewhere. If
That's
I'm going to commit to doing things, then you just got to make a decision and stick with it. In fact, it's one of the oldest pieces of advice I remember. I mean, my dad said to oldest piece of advice that my dad told me was just make a decision and stick with it. So if you're crossing the road, if you're committed to go from here to there, just make that commitment and go for it. Because if something comes quickly and you freeze in the middle, you're going to get flattened.
Yeah.
So just make a decision and stick with it. So. And since then I've heard people say, make the right decision and then make the decision right, because there's so many choices that we've got out there. You just got to pick something and go deep, and stick with the decision that you made, because you've made that decision from the gut initially. That was probably the right one. So don't overthink it. Just be committed to it all the way through. I think is something that stuck with me for a long time.
Brilliant. I've got one person actually that I'll have to put to my one penny club.
Okay.
And, it's a supervisor. When I became a supervisor in one of the warehouses, he was a supervisor at the time as well. And I just overheard from other people that after we've been working together on different shifts, he was talking shit about me, trying to make me look bad, because that actually who was bad was him. His attendance wasn't great.
Yeah, okay.
Approach to people, bit cocky. In that kind of environment, I remember normal workers were wearing yellow high-vis vest, and all managers and supervisors were wearing orange vest.
Okay.
So that was kind of, you could see the managers in the warehouse, but some people can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
When they get that authority, they just can't handle it. And things like you were saying, I always treated, for example, cleaners and people who were helping us to do the job the best possible way.
Mm-hmm.
I never made a difference between, I don't judge people by their job, what they do. I judge people who they are.
Yeah.
You can have millions on your account. If you're fucking asshole, you will be fucking asshole for me all your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You
Just
can't
a rich
change
arsehole.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Craig, I remember that I've heard you've been talking shit behind my back because you wanted probably to look better than myself. Just want to say welcome to my One Penny Club, mate. And I want to say one thing regarding this, because in my seems to be that I want to dwell on these things. No, what you need to do with these snakes and rats that you meet on the journey, on the life journey, you just have to cut them off, and that's it, and forget about it. Sometimes just say the words like, right, you're gone from my life, spit it out, and forget about them is the best thing you can do.
100%.
Because when you dwell on it and think about it, in the end of the day, it's all lesson. Lesson when you lose money, lesson when someone stab you in the back, lesson when someone, for example, what I was seeing, and that's one of the rules that I always followed. I would never ever look at someone's wife or girlfriend as a sexual symbol or something like
I know what
that.
you mean, yeah.
It's just, you know, it's your
It's just
wife.
fibbing,
You,
yeah, it's just
you know, that's it. It's taboo for me.
yeah.
That's it.
100%.
But I've seen it many times when friends were actually going for it because she was fit and he knew that he could, and you know, things like this. When you experience that, just cut them out of your life and forget about them,
Snakes
because
like that. It's always gonna come
they
back.
shouldn't be there for a reason. You
No, I
know,
agree.
they just need to be cut off and show the middle finger.
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
will stay where they belong to.
Exactly.
To them circles.
I think being angry towards people like that is only hurting yourself as well.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like holding on to a hot coal.
Holding
to throw
on
at
to
somebody
something,
else. It's
and
like,
that's why, you know, I created this. I'll just put them in there, and they will stay there in that fucking one penny club, because that's where they belong.
around the
Cheap
other people
fuckers.
as well that just like them. Yeah, they can help each other
So,
out.
Chris, listen, it's been absolute pleasure to have you
Likewise, man.
here.
Appreciate it.
What a great advice and, you know, knowledge you shared from your experience. I guess that heart attack was a wake up call for you as well.
Yeah,
you know,
puts a lot of things into perspective, I can tell you. So
Yeah.
You know, focus on your
Changed
fitness,
a lot.
focus on your time, and smile more. That's the best advice.
spend most of the time you can with your family, I guess.
Definitely.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming,
You're
and
very welcome.
we will definitely do some business together.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner.